I'm Nyla Hargrove, and I used to think loyalty meant something, until I watched my best friend try to erase me from the company we built together. It started small, like these things always do. Serena and I launched Summit Consulting 3 years ago, straight out of grad school, splitting everything 50-50. We were unstoppable those first 18 months. Then she met Dario at some networking event, and suddenly, our partnership meetings always included him. Dario has amazing ideas about scaling, Serena said one Tuesday morning, sliding a latte across my desk. I think we should bring him on as a strategic advisor. We don't need an advisor, I said. We're doing fine. Fine isn't enough anymore, Nyla. We need to think bigger. Then let's hire someone with actual credentials. What does Dario even do? She laughed like I'd told a joke. He ran operations for 3 different startups. Trust me, he knows what he's doing. I should have fought harder. Instead, I signed the advisor agreement because Serena was my friend, and friends trust each other. Dario started coming to every meeting. At first, he just observed, nodding along while Serena and I presented to clients. Then he began interjecting. What Nyla means is, we'll deliver a comprehensive strategy, he'd say, cutting me off mid-sentence during a pitch to a pharmaceutical client. I was actually explaining our research methodology, I said. Right, but clients care about results, not process. He smiled at the executives across the table. We'll have your campaign metrics doubled within 6 months. We won the contract. Serena praised Dario's closing skills all week. The changes came faster after that. Dario suggested we needed clearer role definition. Suddenly, Serena was handling all client communications, while I got pushed into back-end research and analysis. You're so good at the technical stuff, Serena said when I questioned it. Let me handle the relationship building. It's what I'm best at. We built this company on both our skills, I said. I'm not just a researcher. God, Nyla, why do you always have to make everything difficult? I'm trying to optimize our strengths here. Rowan, our primary investor, called me in March. I'm hearing some concerning things about internal restructuring. What did Serena tell you? That you're resistant to growth strategies. That you're holding the company back from major opportunities. My stomach dropped. That's not true. I just don't think we should let Dario make decisions when he's not even a partner. He's not? Rowan sounded genuinely surprised. Serena said he's been essential to your recent success. He's an advisor, nothing more. There was a long pause. Look, Nyla, I don't want to get involved in internal politics. Just work it out with Serena, okay? My investment depends on this company thriving, not imploding. He hung up before I could respond. I tried confronting Serena that afternoon. You told Rowan I'm holding us back? I told him you're struggling with delegation, which you are. We're supposed to be partners, Serena, equal partners. And we are, but partnerships evolve. Dario thinks... I don't care what Dario thinks. This is our company. She stood up from her desk, eyes cold. Actually, it's becoming increasingly clear that you don't share our vision for where Summit should go. Our vision? You mean yours and Dario's? I mean the vision of people who actually want to succeed. That night, I started documenting everything. Every email, every contract change, every client conversation. I created a detailed timeline in a secure cloud account only I could access. Something felt wrong, and I needed proof of what was really happening. 2 weeks later, Dario presented a revised operating agreement at what was supposed to be a routine meeting. This just clarifies existing roles, he said, sliding papers across the conference table. Serena handles business development and client relations. You focus on research and strategy development. Clean division of labor. I read through it carefully. Buried in the legal language was a clause that gave Serena final approval on all major business decisions. This makes me a subordinate in my own company, I said. It creates efficiency, Serena said. We can't keep debating every little decision. Little decisions? This is about who controls Summit. Dario leaned back in his chair. Look, Nyla, the market's moving fast. Companies that can't make quick decisions get left behind. This structure lets us act decisively. By cutting me out of actual power. By letting each partner play to their strengths, Serena said. Sign it or don't. But I'm not running this company by committee anymore. I didn't sign. Instead, I scheduled a meeting with Vikram Chen, a contracts attorney my cousin Tamar recommended. They're systematically removing your authority, Vikram said after reviewing everything. But here's the problem. Unless you can prove deliberate fraud or breach, you're stuck with whatever the original partnership agreement says about dispute resolution. Which is mediation first, then binding arbitration if that fails. Not court. Not unless there's criminal activity involved. I went to mediation. Serena and Dario sat on one side of the table with their attorney, all practiced sympathy and reasonable tones. We just want what's best for Summit, Serena said. Nyla's clearly unhappy with the direction we're taking. Maybe it's time we discuss a buyout. Their attorney slid a folder across the table. We're prepared to offer Ms. Hargrove $40,000 for her partnership stake. I'd invested $60,000 to start Summit. The company was now valued at close to $800,000. That's insulting, Vikram said. That's fair market value for a non-performing partner, their attorney replied. Ms. Hargrove hasn't brought in a new client in months. Her contributions have become minimal. Because they've shut me out of client contact, I said. Serena sighed like I was being difficult. Nyla, you shut yourself out. You fought every new initiative. You undermined Dario in front of clients. At some point, we had to work around you. The mediation failed. They pushed for arbitration, but then something shifted. We're filing a lawsuit instead, Vikram told me in May. They're claiming you violated fiduciary duty and misappropriated company resources. What resources? They're alleging you used company funds for personal expenses and damaged client relationships through negligence. My hands went numb. That's completely false. I know, but they have documentation. Altered documentation, I'm guessing, but we'll need to prove that. The lawsuit froze everything. I couldn't access company accounts. Clients got told I was no longer with the firm due to legal issues. My professional reputation started crumbling before the case even got to court. I had to move in with Tamar because I couldn't afford rent without accessing my share of Summit's profits. I watched Serena post on social media about Summit's exciting new direction while I spent nights organizing evidence in Tamar's spare bedroom. They're destroying everything we built, I told Tamar. They're trying to destroy you, she corrected. There's a difference. Let them think they're winning. I spent 4 months preparing, not just collecting evidence, analyzing it, organizing it, creating a narrative that showed exactly what they'd done and when. I commissioned a forensic accountant to review every transaction. I tracked every altered document back to its original version. I interviewed former employees who'd quit after Dario took over. I put it all in one envelope, comprehensive, chronological, irrefutable. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Serena and Dario sat with their legal team, whispering confidently. Rowan was there too, sitting behind them. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Their attorney spent an hour painting me as an incompetent partner who'd leached off Serena's talent. They had witnesses, Dario, obviously, and 2 employees I barely recognized who claimed I'd been difficult and unprofessional. Ms. Hargrove's behavior became increasingly erratic, one testified. She'd miss meetings, ignore client emails, and then blame others for her failures. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat still, hand on that envelope. When Vikram called me to testify, I walked through everything calmly. Every meeting where Dario overstepped, every decision I was excluded from, every contract that got changed without my knowledge. And do you have evidence supporting these claims? the judge asked. Yes, Your Honor. I handed the envelope to the bailiff. The judge opened it. Inside was a flash drive and a printed summary. Financial records showing Dario had diverted payments to a shell company he controlled. Contracts with two versions, the one I'd signed and the altered one they'd filed. Emails where Serena and Dario discussed managing Nyla out of the company. Text messages between them planning how to manufacture evidence of my supposed incompetence. The courtroom went silent except for pages turning. These are serious allegations, the judge finally said. They're lies, Serena said, but her voice cracked. The judge looked at her over his glasses. Ms. Voss, these communications have metadata, dates, times, device IDs. They're quite thoroughly documented. The trial didn't end that day, but everyone knew it was over. The judge ordered a forensic audit of Summit's finances. Dario's diversion scheme unraveled fast. He'd taken nearly $90,000 over 8 months. Criminal charges followed, not from my lawsuit, but from the district attorney who got interested once the audit results went public. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Serena tried calling me once while the criminal case was pending. Nyla, please, we need to talk. Through our attorneys. I didn't know what Dario was doing. Not all of it, I swear, You knew enough. You chose him over our partnership, over our friendship, over basic honesty. I made mistakes, okay? But we can fix this. Drop the civil suit and I'll testify against Dario. We can rebuild Summit together. I laughed. Actually laughed. There's no rebuilding. Not with you. Not ever. Nyla, please. I hung up. The criminal trial took 6 months. Dario got 18 months in federal prison, plus restitution. Serena got probation and 5 years banned from holding any fiduciary position. Summit Consulting collapsed entirely. Clients fled once the fraud became public. Rowan called me afterward. I should have listened to you earlier. Yes, I said. You should have. I want to help you start something new. Same investment terms, but you'd have full control. I'll think about it. I didn't need his money anymore. 3 former Summit clients had already contacted me privately. They wanted the consultant they'd originally hired, me, not the fraud who'd pushed me out. I started Hargrove Strategy Group 6 months after the trial ended. Solo operation, my rules, my clients. Within a year, I was doing better financially than Summit ever had. I saw Serena once more, completely by accident, at an industry conference I was keynoting. She was in the audience, probably looking for work since she couldn't get licensed anymore. When our eyes met, she looked away first. I ran into Dario's mother at a coffee shop last month. She tried to tell me how hard prison had been on her son, how he'd made mistakes but was fundamentally good. He stole from his partner and tried to frame her for his crimes, I said. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. She left crying. I finished my latte. My company now employs 8 people. We just signed a contract with a Fortune 500 company for twice what Summit's biggest deal ever was. I speak at conferences about ethical business practices and partnership agreements. Sometimes I see former colleagues from the industry, the ones who watched Summit implode and said nothing when Serena was publicly trashing my reputation. They smile nervously and congratulate me on my success. I'm professionally polite, but I don't forget who stayed silent when it mattered. The thing about betrayal is that it clarifies everything. Serena spent 3 years working beside me, claiming friendship while actively destroying what we'd built. She chose money and Dario's empty promises over integrity. She made that choice every single day for months. And now she lives with the consequences, while I run a company that's everything Summit should have been. Last week, a young woman reached out asking me to mentor her through a partnership dispute. Her business partner's boyfriend was slowly taking over their company. The situation felt sickeningly familiar. I told her to start documenting everything immediately. Create your envelope now, I said. Don't wait until they've already destroyed you. She asked if I thought her partner might come around, might realize what she was doing wrong. I thought about Serena's phone call, her desperate attempt to negotiate after everything had already fallen apart. I thought about every person who'd told me I should forgive, should let it go, should take the high road. No, I told the woman. She won't come around. And even if she does, would you ever trust her again? If someone you considered family systematically dismantled everything you built together, then tried to paint you as the villain when you fought back, would you give them a second chance just because they finally got caught?